Good morning, viewers of the Global Governance News. In the series of conversations, this is Vandana Jhingan, your host, with our panelist Adesh Dhar, all the way from Dallas, Texas. As we know, it has been the talk. I'm not going to say of the town, I'm not going to say the talk of the country. It has become the talk of the globe, actually, which has been buried for more than 32 years now. And someone from the industry means he has taken this bold step. I'm going to say that Vivek Agnihotri, we all know, and his wife Pallavi Joshi ji, when they decided to work on this film called The Kashmir Files, it started from United States of America with the people of the Kashmiri Hindu descent living abroad, means those who became overnight refugees within their own nation, and some of them left the nation with not on a political asylum, but on their capacities and capabilities. No one has picked up guns so far. They could have. And we all know that what happened in that era means it is very painful. And we are very ashamed actually how this has been receiving a response from the other side of it, those who are not ready to see the facts. Because sometimes I say, if my ancestors have done something wrong, I should apologize publicly on their behalf, but that's not happening. But the power of the social media in today's time has made everything turn the tables up. So, welcome to Adesh Dharji. And Adesh ji has been born in Kashmir and lived there before this thing has happened. So, I thought a lot of speculations, people are talking, oh, this is only one sided and stuff like that, because this is the side. This is the side because they are the victims. Because in today's time, it has become a practice and a habit that I come, I smash you, and then I start crying and become a victim, which is not going to be acceptable in today. And I am been working with Kashmiri Hindus in not only Chicagoland, but around the United States of America. I've spoken to some people in globally also. And I'm trying to, because this pain is so deep, so very deep, because this has been, and now it's a time for them to get the justice. And I know it has been delayed, but at least we should all be coming together. I am going to say that I am a Kashmiri Hindu, Vandana Jhingan. Adesh ji, we welcome you on board. And
Thank you.
let's talk to you. And I would like to hear from you more than I talk, because this is the way it has to, because I want the whole world to listen to your stories.
Sure, sure. Thank you very much for inviting me. Vannaji, yeah, I was born in Kashmir, 1973, and I have lived in Kashmir till 1990 before the exodus happened. So let me give you some context of how it started. So Kashmiri Hindus are minority in Kashmir, right? So if you go from the history standpoint, I'll just give a little context. Invasions happened in 13th century. Kashmir was all Hindu. Then invasions happened, forcible conversions happened. So all the conversions that were done forcibly, they became the actual Kashmiri Muslim who had the same last name as ours. And after India's independence, when India had an instrument of accession, at that point of time, the political dispensation in Kashmir uh, with India, it was more like a contract, not like being a part of India. So, and in that whole contractual situation, Kashmiri Pandits were pushed into quagmire, meaning that their lands were taken away with the land titillers. So they were, you know, you know, that situation happened. Slowly, the migration was happening. Actually started in 1986 in Anantnag district when the actual first exodus happened. That was not a huge exodus, but the smaller exodus where Kashmiri Pandit houses were burned and killed. And then actually knowing that, how the whole situation emerged, um, wherein the Kashmiri Muslim went to Pakistan to get guns in thousands and thousands, and then when they came to Kashmir, there's these assassinations started happening. They used to send threat letters to Kashmiri Pandits, and slowly they started eliminating. They used to put threats in the newspapers that you should leave within 24 to 48 hours. Slowly they started killing the elite of the Kashmiri Pandits, who had some political weight. Speaking from my family standpoint, my mother's uncle was killed, and he was a businessman in, it's called a small village called Darbag in Harwan. uh, he was killed there, and that basically shook us to the core, our family. And then there were some instances where, with threat letters used to come. Even we got threat letters. My father was in the university, and then his co-workers used to tell him, why don't you leave, you are in threat here. So everything, the whole machination of the whole ecosystem was against the Kashmiri Bandits, either your neighbors or the friends. It was such that, even the political establishment was within the Kashmiri Muslims. So Kashmiri Pandit was kind of helpless. Very few minority community living in the 95% or 98% majority, there was no way out except to leave everything we had, and without knowing what would happen eventually if we leave. But then at that point of time, we felt that the only way to save our lives is just to leave Kashmir Valley. That's how bad it was. And then Kashmir Files, it has just shown some of the glimpses of how this things happen. There are many more instances which have been brutal against the Kashmiri brothers. I know one lady in Houston, I cannot name her. Her father was cut into 50 pieces and thrown in front of a police station. That's how brutal it was. So, just to give you a context, I wanted to say how scared Kashmiri Pandits were at that point of time.
You just began. I think we all know that, Adeshji, at that very time, there was no way to connect to each other,
Correct.
right? Because when we're talking about, and when we are living in that turmoil, I mean,
Mhm.
within your own home, and this
Correct.
is happening when it's so uncertain. You just said
Correct.
that you lost your mama. Means
My my
how.
my my mother's mom, uncle. Yeah.
Mother's uncle, okay,
Yeah.
so your grandfather basically,
Kind
and
of.
your father, because this is not that each and every dialogue in this film when we're talking about has been written, like, and it is so powerful. If we just talk about, like, means just keep your eyes closed and listen to this, it has so much of depth in this and can shake any human being. I'm
Correct.
not talking about the radicals, to be very honest, which is, and so once, sorry about that. And coming to how at that very time you folks were connected, this is called a cradle of civilization when we talk about that. And I do recall my economics teacher was Mrs. Call.
Okay.
Like, I do recall my professor in the university was Dhar. I do recall, like, and you were not that young enough that you don't have the memories, because you
Yes.
just said that you were born, and because, and that is what I say, there are some memories, no matter how much dementia, what stage or Alzheimer you get, but those impressions stays in
Correct.
the mind of human being. Nobody can eradicate. We can
Correct.
understand in the 2.5 hours you cannot do justice, but abhi to ye shuruat hai. That is
Correct.
what it's like. There are so many files, like we are, means like people do make sequels. I think we have seen it how he had to face it earlier, Vivek and the Pallavi, but
Correct.
now people, like, we will not take it. And I always say there is a dialogue which he used to speak out in the Hum Dekhenge. तो I have taken up that dialogue. हम देखेंगे, अब हम ही देखेंगे कि this is not been covered and buried under carpet.
Correct.
So I'm going to ask you, how did you guys decided that you want to move out from there? Because I have seen, like they always say in Hindi, there is a kahavat कि सात घर तो बिल्ली भी छोड़ देती है कि because
Mhm.
like the next home that you feel like they are our friends, like a neighbors, like we are seeing people are talking in today, oh nahi, मतलब itna narrative has been set up to show them as like and still people are talking in Lok Sabha, and I just see, means their blood is not even boiling to see this. So where is the humanity going?
Correct.
So, and that episode which has happened in the film, they have shown, because the rice that
Yes, yes.
means,
That is a true story. 100%.
yeah, that is a true story. And I spoke to some young generation and explained them, like I've spoken to the family, I've talked to them, and just imagine who gives the tip. That
Yes.
is where it is, like I'm saying, the neighbor, the next door neighbor, and who said, oh, we will take care of your home. Means, what do you mean? Like, so that is very, very painful. I would like you to shed some lights on these kind of episodes, because you have lived, and I want you to urge, means like, means this is what you have to come out, speak, unless or until माँ तभी दूध देगी जब बच्चा रोएगा. World
Sure,
has
sure.
to see, because we talking about, like, Holocaust. My brother was Dr. Ashish. I'm just going to name him. He went with his wife in LA and watched the film. Like, he's not at all into any of the community activities. Means, like, and he's just said, who is saying this is lie? They are not blaming. They are just showing what happened to them. I
Correct.
mean, like, so nobody talked about when the films were made on Holocaust, but why people are talking about to see this fact. So would you please shed some light on that?
Correct. Means I would like to, means I know your question. So the narrative that has been set, that ये जो मूवी है ये नफरत क्रिएट कर रही है, ऐसा तो नैरेटिव है ना जो अपोजिशन वाले हैं. लेट मी गिव
Absolutely.
एज अ कश्मीरी पंडित, क्या नफरत होती है? नफरत वो होती है चीज, जब आप लोग चिट्ठियां डालते हो घर में पंडितों को निकालने के लिए, उनको कत्ल कर देते हो, उनकी डेड बॉडी पड़ी होती है सड़क पे, उसको बोलते हो उठाने के लिए नहीं है, उसके टुकड़े करके झेलम में फेंक देते हो, राइट? उनको उनको मारते हो उनके, और उनका एफआईआर फाइल नहीं करते हो, और फिर झूठ मूठ का 219 का नंबर लगाते हो. फिर जम्मू जाते हैं कश्मीरी पंडित, और फिर आप लोग एक नैरेटिव क्रिएट करते हैं कि जगमोहन ने इनको निकाला. ये झूठ मूठ का जो ये फेक नैरेटिव क्रिएट किया है इन्होंने, और उसमें भी कश्मीरी मुसलमान कुरान की कसम खा के बोलते थे, कुरान की कसम हमने कुछ नहीं किया, कश्मीरी पंडितों को जगमोहन ने निकाला. देखिए कितना बड़ा झूठ है ये, रोहित. और जब कश्मीरी पंडित निकले कश्मीर से, उनको विक्टिम बोला गया, भगोड़ा बोला गया. अब ये बताइए कि जो लोग बंदूकें लाएंगे हजारों में, कश्मीरी मुसलमान हिंदुस्तान के साथ जंग करने के लिए, भारत के साथ लड़ने के लिए, पाकिस्तान बनाने के लिए, वो कौन से विक्टिम है? वो विक्टिम है, हम विक्टिम है? ये चीजें क्लियर होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि जो भी पॉलिटिकल एस्टैब्लिशमेंट अभी तक आई थी, वो उनको सपोर्ट करती थी, हुर्रियत को सपोर्ट करती थी. ये तो बिल्कुल कश्मीरी पंडित का कोई सुनता ही नहीं था, एज इफ इट वाज अ नॉन एंटिटी. उनका काम ही था कि कश्मीरी पंडित को ऑब्लिटरेट करो कश्मीर से. ये था सिचुएशन था. अभी लग रहा है कि कश्मीरी पंडित की बात कोई सुन रहा है, अगर आप थिएटर में देखें, फूट फूट के रो रहे हैं, क्योंकि उनके जो दिल में दर्द है वो अब बाहर निकल रहा है. ये प्रॉब्लम. अब आप बोलेंगे कि जो वहां पे नेबरहुड था या कुछ था, सब वो ऐसी बातें होती थी कि अच्छा आप कब निकल रहे हो, आपका कोई रॉ का एजेंट है, कोई आईबी का एजेंट है, ऐसे ऐसे जैसे वो कन्वर्सेशन होती थी ना नेबरहुड में, उसको डरा के. 19 जनवरी 18 जनवरी को फारूक अब्दुल्ला ने रिजाइन किया, 20 जनवरी को या जगमोहन आए, उन 2 दिनों में वो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन टोटल कोलैप्स. अभी वो 19 जनवरी को लाखों में बाहर निकले, जो मस्जिदों में दिखा रहे हैं, लाखों में बाहर निकले, और ऐसे नारे लगे कि सब पंडितों को लगा कि आज हमारा लास्ट दिन है. तो मैं वहीं था, आई वॉज इन 10th ग्रेड. सब पंडित एक दूसरे को फोन कर रहे थे, आज खत्म हो गया. फिर हमारे घर में क्या हुआ कि मेरी मम्मी ने वो सोना वोना कुछ रखा था, वो हमारे बैकयार्ड में हमने दफन किया, अगर हमें मारेंगे तो अभी हम बच जाएंगे. ये हर किसी पंडित फैमिली की सिचुएशन थी. कुछ पंडित फैमिली ने बोला अपनी बेटियों को अटैक में डालो, अगर आएंगे तो हम गैस ऑन करके मारेंगे. ऐसा सिचुएशन जैसे आपने सुना होगा पाकिस्तान में हुआ होगा. ऐसी सिचुएशन हुई हैं. अब ये कोई माने ना माने उनकी प्रॉब्लम है, बट जो रियलिटी है, वी आर द victims, we are living victims, we are the first generation victims. वो ये सच्चाई है. यही मुझे बोलना था.
माने या ना माने का मतलब नहीं है, हम तो सत्य दिखा रहे हैं, तो उनको मानना होगा. हाँ, उनको मानना होगा. आज देखिए हम बात करते हैं, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द यूक्रेन, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग.
जी,
And see, you are showing a picture of a baby who's been like or means uh, uh, he missed his parents and he's going walking alone. The whole world has a compassion towards that child, and
correct.
we know that he may find his parents very soon, because in today's time, if you are floating his picture 24 by 7 on social media as well as on the mainstream media, they will figure it out where who this baby belonged to. So
Correct.
why this was not seen? I can understand that there was no social media at that very time, but it was a complete failure of the
I will
administration at
tell
that
you.
very time,
I will tell you.
government that time.
Hmm.
Because when you are, even after that, the person who comes, I come from media, I am so very ashamed. And I means when I watched the film, and I hugged my sisters and brothers and I told them, मैं बहुत छोटी थी, मेरे पास माइक्रोफोन नहीं था. Like, because जान तो एक ही बार, like, they always say that it is destined when it has to go, otherwise I would have gone and did the story. But
जी,
there were one few those who did the story, but totally changed the narrative. And the person
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल,
who admits
बिल्कुल,
that on the national television that he
बिल्कुल.
has killed, and he comes and meets the prime minister of that very means, like,
Yeah,
and
you.
you can very well imagine the agony, means like, this is what very means sad. You wanted to say something, please go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I meant. जब आप बोल रहे हैं सोशल मीडिया नहीं था, ऑफ कोर्स सोशल मीडिया नहीं था तब, बट नैरेटिव ऐसा बनाया गया कि कश्मीरी पंडित, आप देखिए बरखा दत्त का आपने इंटरव्यू देखा होगा, उसने बताया था कि कश्मीरी पंडित प्रिविलेज थे, तभी कश्मीरी मुस्लिम यूथ खड़ा हो गया उनके खिलाफ ताकि उनको प्रिविलेज थी. दिस इज टोटल बोगस. और कश्मीरी पंडित खुद ही निकल गए ताकि वो दूसरी जगह जाए. मतलब कोई अपना घर छोड़ के, सब कुछ छोड़ के कैसे जा सकता है? मतलब इट्स इट्स कॉमन सेंस. वो कैंप में रहेगा क्या सांपों और बिच्छुओं के बीच अपना घर छोड़ के? मतलब व्हाट सेंस डज इट मेक? ये सब पूरा जो नैरेटिव था, द पॉलिटिकल एस्टैब्लिशमेंट था, ये सारा का सारा कश्मीरी पंडितों के खिलाफ था. अब ये जो बढ़ावा दे रहे थे, अब बोलिए एक प्राइम मिनिस्टर मनमोहन सिंह, ये शर्म की बात है, ही मीट्स अ टेररिस्ट who killed Kashmiri pandits and the Air Force officers and shakes hand with him in a five-star hotel. और जो आनंद महिंद्रा, जो भी महिंद्रा के हैं, वो उनको बुलाते हैं इंडिया टुडे में बात करने के लिए, बोलते हैं यासीन मलिक इज अ यूथ आइकॉन. मजाक है क्या ये? और कश्मीरी पंडितों को जिन्होंने उन्हें मारा है, उनके दिल पे क्या गुजरती होगी? राइट? मतलब आई एम जस्ट आस्किंग द होल कंट्री, इंडिया, द हिंदू कम्युनिटी, क्या गुजरती, और इंडियंस एज सच क्या गुजरती होगी उन पे? तभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ, जब वो फूट फूट के रो रहे हैं कश्मीर में, तो वो उनके जो दबे बात जो उनकी सुनी नहीं है, वो बाहर आ रहा है अभी. उनका उनका कोई अभी अभी लग रहा है कि हमारी बात कोई सुन रहा है. और अगर पॉलिटिकल एस्टैब्लिशमेंट का सपोर्ट है, आई एम हैप्पी फॉर दैट. व्हाई नॉट? वी आर विक्टिम्स, वी नीड जस्टिस. हमने कभी बंदूक नहीं उठाई, हमने किसी को मारा नहीं, हम कैंपों में रहे, इतने ट्रबल में पढ़ाई लिखाई की. मैं जम्मू में छोटे कमरे में रहता था, जहाँ पे हमारा बड़ा घर था. 47 डिग्री में हम रहते थे. मेरे जैसे भी कितने लोग थे जो टेंट में रहते थे, और वो पढ़ लिख के अमेरिका आ गए. तो वो तो ये देखिए कि हमारी पेशेंस और एंड्योरेंस क्या थी कश्मीरी पंडितों की, कि वो उस जगह से कहाँ पहुंच गए. सो और जो दूसरे लोग बोलते हमने, हमारे साथ जुल्म हुआ, बंदूकें उठाई, वेल हमने क्यों नहीं उठाई? हमारे साथ तो तुमने बहुत ज्यादा जुल्म किया. तुमने तो बंदूक लाके लड़ाई की, हमने तो कुछ नहीं किया. सो दैट्स द रियलिटी. और वही मूवी दिखा रही है. तभी इंडिया में जो इमोशन स्टिर हो रहे हैं, जो झूठ मूठ का पुलंदा बनाया था, वो बाहर आ रहा है अभी. और तभी जो आपको लग रहा है कि जो दूसरे लोग थे जिन्होंने ये कवर किया था, उनको बहुत बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रही है अभी, बहुत ज्यादा. आपने मोदी जी का भी देखा होगा, क्यों प्रॉब्लम हो रही है उनको? क्योंकि उन्होंने कवर किया था ना, झूठ झूठ मूठ का जो बनाया था, चल रहा है ये सब.
Thank you for sharing. And as we are seeing, wherever it has been, like refugees,
जी,
like, we just saw it is happening. It happened in a month of August 2021. So many refugees came in plane load to United States of America. We have given shelter to them. Ukraine, refugees are coming. Means I think the number was 10, 15 days ago, 10 days, I'm sorry, 10 days ago, 15 lakh
जी
15 lakh people flee from Ukraine. So they have taken refuge in the different countries neighboring. And overall, they will be coming more towards the western side also. And on the contrary, hey, 500,000 plus people from Kashmir, how many take refuge in the Western world? No. When how many took political asylum?
हाँ
No. If you are here or others whom I know, they came on their own capabilities.
करेक्ट वी ऑल
Where
केम
it
विद
is,
एजुकेशन करेक्ट
yeah. So because the education has played, nobody has picked up a gun. That is the
हाँ
side that world has to see.
करेक्ट
Because I'm just because it is a very hard fact which I am trying to. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that because I am not saying because we are trying to protect. So if human rights commissions, those are I always call very bogus. They cannot see as per their convenience. If I close one eye, I can see this side or that side. If I have to see, I always say when I hold a camera, I say camera should see everybody or nobody. That's the real thing. So it was so difficult for a person living in very high altitude and coming down to the base to live and body to acclimatize. We all know that when we go to the higher altitude and we come down, they always say it has to be transit. And so
करेक्ट
much of trauma means like
यस
this film means I'm just saying this is just the beginning, like
करेक्ट
preface basically, let's put it this way. Abhi to means book likhna baki hai.
जी
So what do you have to say about that?
मेरा देखिए आप जो ये रिफ्यूजी की बात कर रहे हैं ना मतलब हमें द द अनफॉर्चुनेट पार्ट इज वी वर अ माइनॉरिटी इन कश्मीर एंड वी वर डब्ड एज मेजॉरिटी क्योंकि इंडिया इज अ मेजॉरिटी हिंदू कंट्री ये मजाक की बात है कि जो 95% मुस्लिम है वहां कश्मीर में जो मिलिटेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से बिलोंग करते हैं वो कैसे माइनॉरिटी हो सकते हैं एक एरिया में और एक ही भारत का एरिया है जहां मुस्लिम ओवरवेलमिंग मेजॉरिटी है और हमें हिंदुओं को वहां से तहस नहस करके निकाल दिया ये शुगर कोट करने वाली बात नहीं ये इंपॉर्टेंट बात है इस चीज को शुगर कोट किया जा रहा था अभी तक जो बाहर आ गई है ऑल दो मूवी में डायरेक्टली नहीं बताया है बट द थीसिस जो एंड रिजल्ट है वो पता है ना हम समझ आ गया सबको तो ये और आपका एक और क्वेश्चन क्या था पूछ रहे थे सॉरी आई कांट हियर यू
I'm I said because this is the human rights violations, like
यस ऑफ
they are
कोर्स
talking about. Because now, if it happened, I think a year and a half, because somebody was talking about, oh, they don't have an internet, and that is for 18 months. I said, how come the internet became a human rights? So this itself pains us, like you are talking about as your convenience, and I would like you to put some light on
Yeah,
it.
of course. I will try to talk about the political apathy of this whole situation. ये जो देखिए विक्टिमहुड इंटरनेट ये सब चीजें बेसिक राइट्स तब हैं जब आप गन नहीं उठाओ आप वायलेंस नहीं करो बेसिक राइट्स उसके होते हैं जो नॉन वायलेंट होता है जो 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 लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के साथ होता है जो कश्मीरी पंडित था तो आप लोग गन उठाओगे कत्ल करोगे मिलिटेंसी करोगे उसको ओपनली सपोर्ट करोगे और एट द सेम टाइम ह्यूमन राइट्स मांगोगे मतलब कौन विच कंट्री विल टॉलरेट such a surge of militancy in their country? Will US tolerate Mexico allowing insurgency into Texas? No, they will not allow. So no country will allow. So ये चीज एक critical चीज है ये जो human rights की बात कर रहे हैं अगर आपने स्टार्ट की जंग इंडिया के साथ बंदूकें लाके तो if you are seeing through the guns you have to get killed by the guns. It's as simple as that. You are not having a dialogue on a basis of non-violence. No. और एक और चीज है जो जम्मू कश्मीर की है यू आर जो भी कश्मीरी मुस्लिम्स ने बनाया है ये पुलंदा यू आर नॉट द ओनली स्टेक होल्डर्स वी हैव लद्दाख वी हैव जम्मू we have other areas so it has to be holistically just because you are Muslims and you have somehow love for Pakistan doesn't mean that we have to tolerate that as a country no we don't have to so दो चीजें हैं ये critical हैं बाकी ह्यूमन राइट्स की बात करिए तो अभी तो कोई कमीशन बैठा नहीं है कश्मीरी पंडितों के लिए। ना तो हमने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में याचिका दायर की थी, उसमें भी रिजेक्ट हुआ था, बिकॉज देयर वाज नो प्रूफ ऑफ कश्मीरी पंडित्स। जो क्योंकि इसलिए प्रूफ नहीं थी क्योंकि वहां पे एफआईआर भी नहीं लॉन्च किए थे, सब एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन उनका था। तो कश्मीरी पंडित वाज एट द मर्जी एवरीबॉडी बेसिकली। सो मतलब कत्ल करके आपने एफआईआर लॉन्च नहीं किए और आप प्रूफ मांग रहे हैं, तो कहां से आएगा प्रूफ? मतलब जमीनें हड़प लिया आपने, मकान जला लिया आपने, सब कुछ खत्म कर दिया और प्रूफ मांग रहे हैं। मतलब क्या प्रूफ देंगे हम?
खत्म करने के बाद में भी रुके नहीं, और जो है दे ऑलवेज से दैट वी आपको किया उसके बाद भी चलता रहा, रोशनी एक्स लाए, ये किया,
नहीं, वो
बिकॉज
सब हाँ
हाँ।
बिल्कुल।
सो अभी तो हम जानते हैं, वी जस्ट नो दैट लेट्स मूव टुवर्ड्स द कंक्लूजन पार्ट ऑफ इट. Abrogation of 370 happened, which is a very good step towards, like, and I think this administration is doing it, but we have to come out, openly speak about it, and just make archives of our own pathy, like what has happened to us, each and every individual who has suffered, let it be first generation, second generation.
करेक्ट।
Like you took the step that I really appreciate your time, like,
नो
how
नो, ऑफ
will
कोर्स।
world how will world know unless and until you will
नो,
come
आई
and speak
अप्रिशिएट
out?
यू गिविंग मी टाइम बिकॉज somebody needs to hear us basically।
Yeah. So, as this film has come and we have seen the hypocrisy of the Indian film industry, let's
Yes,
call it Bollywood, I would like you to comment on that part of it.
well, of course, Bollywood from my and is filled with people who don't want to see the reality. They probably liberals, too much liberals, they create a one side of a narrative and go with that. Even with the opposition to this movie, which is happening right now with no Bollywood person tweeting about it or talking about it, is has struck the chord with the people, emotions of the people. So neither the movie was marketed like it would have been marketed as a Bollywood movie. It never happened like that. It it came to US. We all saw the movie, and then it started in India. And I am also surprised that it has become a tsunami. I was not expecting that India public will see this movie to such a greater extent. I see the halls in US, they are full. Yesterday I took my son. It's like everybody wants to see the movie. Everybody wants to hear the truth, irrespective of the religion. Yesterday I talked to one of my Christian friends. He's from Kerala. He said, "Man, I'm so sorry this happened to you guys." And he told me all of my community people are going to see the movie. I said, really appreciate you doing that. सो एक 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 जो झूठ का नैरेटिव है उसके लिए एक सच का नैरेटिव जरूरी है। एक पैरेलल डिस्कशन होना चाहिए ताकि जो ये ये विक्टिमहुड का ड्रामा जो चलता है ना, जो आप जैसे जेएनयू का दिखा रहे हैं वो बिल्कुल सही दिखा रहे हैं। और जो जो अभी कश्मीरी इंटरनेट बंद हो गया, हमें ये हो गया, वो हो गया। अगर आप लोगों को अगर आपने जन स्टार्ट किया ये लड़ाई, आपको सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इतना पैसा दे रहा है कि आप वहां बड़े-बड़े महल बना रहे हैं कश्मीरी पंडितों के मकान तोड़ के, तो आपको कौन सा जेनोसाइड हो गया? जेनोसाइड तो जैसे अगर इतना बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है वो अफगानिस्तान में हो गया, सीरिया में हो गया, कश्मीर में कश्मीरी मुस्लिम्स आर द रिचेस्ट पीपल। So how come you guys have a problem after creating so much mess for the country and the minority population there? So these facts should be given in front.
As Adesh Dhar, who was 17, 18 at that very
16,
time,
yes, 16, yes.
16,
Mhm.
and means such a beautiful age. Like when we talk about 16, like there are so many, because and such a bright future ahead of you. You could
Correct.
have done so much wonders towards your own, because otherwise there was no, because we are immigrants, we came with a choice, but at
Correct.
that very time you were
We didn't have means
forced,
we were forced to leave. Correct. I
we were
agree.
forced to, because, and that too at the gunpoint, like,
Correct.
so what is expected now, and what is your message, like, to your other Kashmiri Hindus, like, means it is, I urge that everyone has to come and speak about their
Yes,
story.
I would urge everybody to please come forward, talk. um, this is the right platform and the right time to talk about what has happened because nobody was listening till now. And I would urge each and every Kashmiri Pandit to see the movie and make their friends see the movie. Everybody. And any kid who was born after 1990, like my kid, I took my kid to see the movie, so they should know where they come from, and it should never happen again. So
I
Kashmiri,
urge, because we know that there is a lot of request that there should be dubbing done in the all South Indian languages,
hmm,
Gujarati languages, so that people can understand, like,
correct.
to reach to the massive. I think we'll try to send this message, and they are doing pretty good, Pallavi and Vivek, on the
Yes,
means like
because there is a
on
lot
the
of
ground level.
Kashmiri language also in that, means which
Yeah,
they wanted to make it very authentic. Although
because
there are
I spoke to
subtitles.
someone there.
Yeah.
There was a youth from college in Haryana. They went when they speak in Kashmiri, so that the translation over there is in English. So they are saying "kit keh rahe se, ke keh rahe se, ke keh rahe se." So "ke keh rahe se" matlab, because they are not able to understand that, and
Okay.
it has to touch, like,
Understood.
So
Understood.
yeah, and I mean. This is, I just said that, and I'm going to conclude with that. This is just the beginning and a preface of very, means like, it has to go further. Many sequels can come, and to each and every one, because if you feel, means, being humanity in your heart, go and see what happened, to avoid, so there is no India files in future. You must go and
Of
see
course.
Kashmir files.
Of
That's what
course.
it is.
Of course.
Vandana Jhingan, thank you so very much, Adesh, for
Thank
your
you.
time. We really appreciate.
Thank
Namaskar.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.